Hey everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 35th anniversary year, and we have some amazing programming as part of our schedule. One of the great films that we have is All Kinds of Love, which is directed by David Lewis and stars Matthew Montgomery and Steve Callahan. I'm going to read a brief description of the film, and then we're going to jump into a conversation. Amid the backdrop of the Supreme Court's upholding of marriage equality in 2015, a longtime gay couple divorced just as everyone else is getting married. After his commitment-phobic husband divorces him, a stuck in his ways gay man tries to start over when he becomes accidental roommates with a younger hip nerd who is as romantically challenged as he is. Sparks fly. We have the director of All Kinds of Love, David Lewis, and the two stars, Matthew Montgomery and Steve Callahan. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
I was a little bit tongue-tied when I was doing the introduction, so thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, I really enjoyed the film. All of our programmers did as well, and I mean, it seems like it's going extremely well at all the festivals that you play. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're just honored to be here. And hello, Atlanta.
Hello. We tried to dodge Hurricane Ian this week.
I was going to say.
So we're crossing our fingers. So anyway, well, I guess I'll start with you, David. What made you want to write this?
It started out as a kind of examination, a comic examination of where we are on marriage. That's where it started. And then as the screenplay evolved, I was discovering that it was like basically about all kinds of love, that marriage was just a component of all the possibilities that the queer community has in love.
We have Jerry entering the room as well. Jerry is
Hi.
one of the producers.
Hi, Jerry. Jerry plays the unhoused.
Jerry.
Hey there.
Hey Jerry, how are you?
Can you hear us?
He's still connecting to audio.
Okay.
We'll go on and we'll sort of pick up comments from him as well. So, I mean, Matt, tell me a little bit about Max.
I think that Max is somebody who is trying to discover what it is that he really wants in terms of how he defines love. And I think my favorite, one of the things that I really loved about playing Max is that in this story, he really is just sort of one piece of this bigger group and community of really diversified representation of love and how we express love with each other. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of just really like that that Max is sort of part of that, is just sort of part of that equation. It really does feel very much like this community of diversity in terms of how we express love.
Okay. And Steve, tell us a little bit about Josh.
So Josh is Max's ex-husband. They get divorced in the opening scene. Yeah. And what I think is interesting is that, as David was saying, he takes on different perspectives of queer love, and from Josh's perspective, monogamy is not something that he's interested in, and Max is very interested in monogamy. Mm-hmm. And David respects both of those perspectives in the script, and so the challenging thing with this relationship is that Max and Josh love each other completely and really truly love each other, and yet maybe they're not the right match for each other.
Exactly. David, or either Matt and Steve, I mean, there's such an irony in the film, and as we celebrate the fact that everybody can get married and we're able to, these two decide to get a divorce. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it was meant to be ironic, and you're right in pointing that out. I tried to do it without judgment of any of the characters or what, like, and so you know, I've run across plenty of people who don't like this marriage thing, and some people think it's the best thing that ever happened. And you know, like, and the film didn't try to take a point of view of who's right and who's wrong. It's almost just like, and all of these characters, you know, like, um, what I did want is a world where people felt free to be themselves. That's one thing these characters have in common. We're not having gender identity crises here or sexual orientation crises here. These characters know who they are, but trying to get what they need and want is kind of their challenge. And so we wanted to do that in a non judgmental way and in a way that made people feel good about whatever choice or however they express their love.
Okay. Matt, I mean, the character of Conrad, you know, talk to me a little bit about Max and Conrad and their how their relationship sort of starts and how and its progression during the movie.
So Max, after Max and Josh divorce, and Max ends up staying at one of the rental properties that Josh is managing. Conrad comes and you know and is supposed to be staying at the same property, and you know wackiness ensues. What I think is interesting about the Max and Conrad relationship is that um, you know I think that at first glance it's you know the big conflict or the thing that I think that audiences might sort of focus on initially is the age difference between the two characters.
Yeah.
But I think that what's really interesting about how David crafted this relationship is that by the end of the story, I hope anyway that just becomes so sort of secondary and kind of a non-issue. I mean, because what Conrad does for Max is help him discover what it is that he really wants and needs in a relationship, and how he defines expressing love for himself that is right for him and that makes sense for him and his life.
Okay.
And so, like, I think that that Conrad sort of bringing in that fresh perspective is essential to Max's growth in the story.
Okay, great. Jerry, can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Oh, Jimbo? Yes. Hello, everyone, by the way.
Hey, Jerry.
sorry,
Hey,
but,
Jerry.
I was lucky to get to play this. All I had to do was stay dressed the way I was when I woke up, and then go take a wedding ring from him. It was a lot of fun. I didn't have any lines, but the whole project was great. I came on originally as helping out with art department,
Yeah.
and we ended up in Rough and Ready, California. I don't know if you know where that is. I had a hat too of Rough and Ready that I wanted to wear for you guys, but I couldn't find it. But Jimbo is a good guy. I think he represents a turning point for um, uh, Matthew's character,
Okay.
and it's interesting to hear everyone talk, if I may, about David about the script and you two about your characters and stuff. And one thing that was really good about this project is that I saw everyone that was in the cast just sort of embrace, you know, their character really deeply, and I have great appreciation for that. It was a great thing to be involved in.
Great. The title, All Kinds of Love, is so accurate here because, I mean, these are characters who are at different points in their life, different feelings that what they want. David, can you talk about some of the other characters in the film as well?
Yeah, you had, we have, first I wanted to just talk to Jerry's comment. I mean, it's evident just that every character, every actor who came into this, whether they had a line or whatever, really just embraced their characters and made something and made an important contribution to this. And so, and one of the other important contributions is the throuple, and that's
Yes,
um,
exactly.
and that was meant as, you know, because we kind of have they're kind of in like the complete opposite of Max. You know, this is a freewheeling but very, you know, stable throuple, you know, but like, and we can see through them why, and they're fun. They have their own energy thing going on and stuff like this, and their own love issues to grapple with. But like, it was fun. I thought it was fun. The the difference between how Max's outlook and what he wanted and what his parents were doing, and how his parents affected Max's attitudes and outlook and stuff like this without having to say any of that. But like, but I think it's evident on the screen. And so, you know, like also just a shout out to, you know, the trans character here, you know, like what, you know, and we, um, you know, again, did not want a gender identity issue. He's just who he is. He's like, he may be looking for love in the wrong places, but he fit into this you know, this tableau of characters. And so like, um, and that was really important to us to just, and he's quite, I mean, he was just so fun to work with. All the actors were fun to work with. And I hope that, and all of these characters, I think, contributed. This was an ensemble piece, and every single character was important to making um, this fabric of this quirky film.
Hmm. As you all have mentioned, you know, there is, you know, a changing face of relationships these days. I mean, relationships can take different forms, and you know, it looks different than it was a long time ago. Having said that, there are people around like Max who do value a traditional monogamous relationship. Can you all talk about that? I mean, what, the changes that you've seen over the years in relationships, the fact that there are people like Max who still wants to play by a traditional set of rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that it's important to have that perspective, because there are um a lot of people, and people, of course, in the queer community who want a more traditional relationship.
Mhm.
And so I like that that Max sort of provides that perspective. But one of the things that I think, you know, we're sort of just talking a little bit about the throuple. And one of the things that I think I really loved about the throuple relationship is that it wasn't just, you know, this sort of random or sort of art, you know, uh, um, random sort of relationship. It's his parents, like it's his parents involved in a throuple. And so I feel like that sort of um asks I think it has the audience ask more questions about sort of how we all sort of perceive different types of relationships, and also sort of the expectations that we kind of place on things like gender
Okay.
and sexuality and age. Like I think that those are all. So I think all of those things come up with the throuple part of the equation, which I think is really cool.
Okay, great. Steve, obviously you and Matt have been a couple for a while. Can you talk a little bit about working together and maintaining both a professional relationship and a personal relationship at the same time?
Sure. Yeah. So Matthew and I have been together for 14 years. So we met on a movie 14 years ago, and we've been married 7. So we've been married about half of our relationship.
Okay.
And it's our 3rd movie together. And it's, first of all, it's amazing. He's, you know, the best actor I know. So getting to work opposite him is always a plus. So anytime that comes about. So Matthew was attached to the project sort of from the beginning. He and David had been talking about it they worked together many years ago in a movie called Redwoods.
Yeah.
And then at one point, David, approached Matthew about the idea of bringing me into the project as well. And I was just so excited to be a part of it. It was very interesting playing ex-husbands with your real life husband, but I think that like our history just brings so much to the characters because you don't have to sort of create all that backstory in your head about, we do have relationships with our in-laws that, our each of our parents and all those sorts of things. And so we already brought that to the table for the script. It was great.
Great. David, I wanted to ask you about, the tone and the balance of the film, because the film does such a good job of juggling a lot of characters, juggling, comedy, romance, some dramatic moments, but it's also, a sexy film. And there's some skin here and there. I mean, can you sort of talk about, that balance and in achieving that?
Well, that was the biggest thing. That was certainly one of the biggest challenges we had. We wanted to make a very body positive, age positive story. I don't think we see a lot of that in our community, or maybe we do and I'm just missing it or something. But and it was like, and so okay, how do we balance this where I don't want it just to be just like it can't just be sexy by itself and it can't just be funny by itself and it can't be just a drama. And so and it was challenging the editing room to try to get, to go, okay, what I think I found some of it is like I did a lot of the music supervising here, and really that kind of became a soundtrack in my mind sometimes of trying to um, um, get that in the editing process. And I think all the actors were aware of this too. I think they knew that everyone knew what we were trying to do, that there was certain funny things, there were certain dramatic moments that had to hit their mark,
Mm-hmm.
had to be this just effortless sexiness about it. And I have to give a lot of the credit to the actors for pulling that off. It's not easy to do that. And so, and I think people just bought into the story and they bought into their characters. And I think that's why that balance was achieved.
Great. We've had to deal with COVID the last couple of years. Obviously, we're still dealing with COVID, but for the longest time, there really weren't any kind of in-person screenings. For all of you, Jerry, Matthew, Steve, David, what's it been like, getting back to in-person screenings and seeing your work with audiences? I mean, it seems like there's nothing that really can replace that.
I'll just say that I think Zoom sucks. Every time that I've done on it, it's just horrible, But it's kind of fun to do a reading
Yeah.
or something on Zoom.
Yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah. What's it
Yep.
like being in theaters again and with audiences, seeing your film with them?
There is no substitute, particularly when something has comic elements of experiencing that with an audience. There's just nothing like it. And and I know a spot tomorrow night. I mean, well, on Saturday night in Atlanta, I know there's going to be a big moment where they're all going to laugh. And loudly. I mean, it's happened every screening where there's a shock. I'm not going to go any further than that, but and there's just no substitute for it. I mean, you just go it just, that's why we do these things, to experience that communal kind of atmosphere. And that's why these festivals are so important for LGBT films, and to get our projects out into the world and to share that with our audiences. And as I said, laughter is the best medicine.
Great. All right. Yeah, I remember the Frameline screening was the film was very well received and the audience was really, really into it. So so this is sort of a two-pronged question. What's next for all of you? And David, what's next for the film?
Let's see, what's next for the film is we're working with negotiating with some distributors at the moment. And so we anticipate getting this, in the next few months out into the world, VOD and all kinds of different platforms, I hope. And so what's next for me is another comedy. I have a script that is getting there, hopefully, and it's a little more fantastical, but I hope people like it. I think I'm addicted to laughter. They're just hearing laughter, and particularly in these times where if you turn on the television, there's not a lot of laughter, in my opinion. And and so that's what's next for me.
Okay, my dog just joined me for the Q&A, but he's gonna.
Our dogs are right down here. Yeah.
He's really good at Q&As, but today he's kind of quiet. So anyway, and the rest of you, what's next for you all?
I would say that definitely doing a little bit more writing. So I really want to try to do a little bit more writing and directing.
Yeah.
Hopefully working with David again. And yeah, just sort of, I think just sort of finding my way to seeing what's next.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I will piggyback on that. There's a script that Matthew's working on that is very exciting, and I think we want to try to get that made at some point soon.
Oh, great. And Jerry?
Yeah, Matthew told me about that script. It sounded good, and I'm in. I'm also in for David's new.
Yeah.
Hopefully, sometimes.
You broke up.
Well, first I'm just building that house over there. Can you see it?
You broke up a little bit.
That's it.
Anyway. Oh, cool.
I'm up in the middle of this. Yeah.
All right. The film is All Kinds of Love, which premieres in Atlanta Saturday, October 1st at 9:30 at Outfront Theater Company. And then it has a streaming window as well. I'm sure audiences are going to love it. Thank you all for sharing this film with us. Thank you all for helping me with a great Q&A today. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks so much for having us, Atlanta. We're thrilled to be part of it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The rast of the day.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, David.
Bye.